Hi everyone, I'm back with grade 3, module 1, lesson 15, and the goal is to relate arrays to tape diagrams to model the commutative property of multiplication. Well, let's get started. Remember to practice your skip counting and your facts. Okay, so the first one says, a cell phone is about 4 inches long. About how long are 9 cell phones laid end to end? So for something like this, I immediately start to think of a tape diagram because I can even envision the cell phones laid out end to end inside of my head. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a tape diagram. You can use any tools that you have on your computer, or if you're doing this on a whiteboard, you could do this too. So the cell phone is about 4 inches long, right? So each of these would be 4 inches long, but there are 9 of them end to end. So let's draw the 9. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And I'm going to double check. And these are going to stand for each of my cell phones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep, that works. And each one is 4 inches long. So I'm just going to stamp in a star and let each of those stand for an inch. Each of these stars will stand for 1 inch. So there's 4 inches of a cell phone. Oops, that kind of went together, didn't it? 2, 3, 4. That's easier. Okay. Now what I know is I have 9 fours, or 9 groups of 4, and that immediately makes me think of, you guessed it, it makes me think of multiplication. So what I'm going to do is I am going to grab my pencil and I'm going to write 9 groups of 4, and then I'm going to write equals, because 9 cell phones at 4 inches each equals a total of 36 inches. And that is how long all of these 9 cell phones end to end are. All right, let's look at the next story problem. It says, on a piece of paper, draw an array with 2 rows and 4 columns. All right, I'm going to do that first. I'm going to pause the video and come back. So maybe you could pause and do the same on your whiteboard or on your paper. Okay, I'm back and I have made my 2 rows with 4 items per row, or columns actually go up and down this way. Write a multiplication equation to represent the array. That means to show what the array says that you just drew. Okay, so let me grab a pen for that. Okay, so my first multiplication would be 2 rows of 4. That's how I say it when I write it, just to remind my brain I'm showing 2 rows of 4, and that equals a total of 8. Okay, so we did that part. Turn your paper sideways so you now have 4 rows of 2. So I can't turn my computer screen, but I will pause it and I will show now 4 rows of 2. Okay, so I have redrawn my array. So now I'm showing 4 rows of 2 instead of 2 rows of 4. And I'm going to grab my pencil and I'm going to show the next equation, which shows the commutative property. Now I have 4 rows of 2 equals 8. And it says, what property is this? So this is called the commutative property. I think it'd be easier if I type this in, so I'll type it in. Okay, so I have wrote the word commutative property in here, and that's what that was showing. All right, now it says, on a piece of paper, draw an array with 9 rows and 4 columns. So that would be 9 rows with 4 items per row. Go ahead and pause this if you would like and draw that if you're following along. Okay, so I have drawn my 9 rows with 4 items per row, or 4 columns. They call these columns. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 fours. The next part says write a multiplication equation to represent this array that we just drew. So let me grab the pencil. Should be pretty easy for us. We're pretty good at this now. So we have 9 rows with 4 items per row. And if I skip count by 4, I should end up with, whoops, I put an equal sign, equals 36. 9 times 4 equals 36. The next part says turn your paper sideways, which you can do if you're following along at home. So you have now 4 rows and 9 columns. I'm going to pause my video and I'm going to stamp out 4 rows with 9 per row or 9 columns. Okay, so now instead of having 9 of these with 4, I have 4 with 9. Basically, I turn that sideways. So I'm going to grab my pen and I'm now going to write 4 groups of 9 equals, the end stays the same, 36. And once again, this is called commutative property, so I'll type that out. Okay, so that is called the commutative property of multiplication. Addition actually has one too, but in this circumstance, this is commutative property of multiplication. Okay, for this last one, I've already drawn these in for you, just kind of follow along, but it says on a piece of paper, draw an array with 7 rows and 4 columns, or 7 rows with 4 items in that row, and that's what I did here. This is 7 groups of 4, and then we need to write a multiplication equation for that one. So that is 7 rows of 4 equals 28 total. And then it says to turn your paper sideways, and I can't do that. So I did the, I drew it this way. So I now have 4 rows of 7, or 4 rows with 7 columns. So this one's 4 groups of 7, or 4 sevens, which also equals 28. And that property is called the commutative property of multiplication. So, remember to either draw them out. If you're digital, try to draw them out. If you have, if you have stampers, digital stampers, you can do that. If not, you can just draw it out, practice at home. Thanks, guys. See you soon.